Hey, what's up guys? It's Hayden.
Hey, and I'm Emma. Welcome back to our channel. We are fresh back from the cinema seeing a little movie called Avatar: The Way of Water. It is really late right now, but we are doing this video because we have a lot to talk about. So if you want to hear our thoughts on this film, then stick around.
So Avatar: The Way of Water returns us to Pandora, where Jake Sully and his family are hunted down by a familiar threat. Now the question on everyone's lips, is this worth the wait? 13 years in the making. Is it worth it?
Long time.
Yes.
Yes.
100%. 100%. All my fears that I had were put to rest. Right? I said in our trailer reaction that I wasn't sure whether there was enough hype for this, whether this could pull me back into this world. And it didn't take long before I was just pulled right back in. Just straight off the bat, visually, this movie is stunning. Holy shit. The effects, the CGI used in this film is some of the best that I've seen.
I think we can all agree that we know exactly what James Cameron was working on over these 13 years.
Oh, yeah.
I think we can all agree it was worth the wait.
You can see that time and money on the screen.
When you see this end result, yeah.
We are not big fans of CGI for the most part. We're big advocates for practical effects. Anyone who's seen our videos know that we love practical effects. And we've always been critical of CGI. It just felt like CGI hasn't really been utilized correctly. It's been a little bit overused and a little bit relied upon too heavily in a lot of modern movies. And we've just been waiting for a movie to really utilize CGI to its full potential. I think this might be that movie.
Oh, hands down. And I think not only utilize CGI in the best way possible, but almost revolutionize it again. And I feel like, I mean, it's clear to see now why James Cameron has taken so long to make this movie. He's a perfectionist, and he
100%.
only wanted to use the best technologies available. And even, I think, the team were even creating new technologies to give us this final
I wouldn't
product.
be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they've like revolutionized the game again.
Yeah. I mean, Avatar, the first film was. We remember how big that was.
That broke new ground in 3D.
Exactly.
Right? Everyone tried to copy them after that. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to do it again.
Oh.
It's just setting the benchmark.
And actually, while we're on that, we should probably mention we did see this in 3D.
Yes, well, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
You have to.
I think this film needs to be seen in 3D. And normally I'm not a big fan of 3D. Just personally because it makes me feel a bit like dizzy and a bit ick. It hurts my eyes after a while. But even the 3D, just the new I don't know how they do it. It's like magic.
There's so much depth.
The 3D is unlike any other kind of 3D film I've seen before.
Looks fantastic in 3D. Just so much depth to the landscape. And the landscapes they created were just unreal. Just so much attention to detail. In everything. In the landscapes, in the textures of the skin. I think that was the thing that grabbed me, was like a couple of close-ups of the textures of the avatar skin or the creature skin, and you would see every single line and wrinkle. Stuff that bad CGI you could definitely pick up on straight away and be like, yeah, that looks fake. Right? Skin is so hard to do right in CGI.
That, for me, the thing that I like really noticed and was like honing in on was like the water on skin and like tears
the water
on the faces. Like, to do water that cleanly and that crisp, like the whole film, it's just the cleanest, flawless, just pristine CGI. It honestly felt, and especially in 3D, it literally felt like in some scenes I think I even said to you at the end, I'm like, I felt like I was in an aquarium and I was like pressed up on the glass the whole time.
It just kind of immersed you in that world.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's what James Cameron's intention was when he made these films 3D. He wants you to get immersed in the world. And yeah, I was completely immersed from the first frame of this movie. Just visually spectacular from beginning to end. There's not a wasted frame. Every frame looks glorious. From a visual standpoint, I cannot fault this at all.
Not at all.
The only fault that I've heard is that people didn't quite like the storyline or the lack of a storyline. And look, I've got to say that didn't really bother me too much. It is a very simplistic storyline, I'll give them that. But I was just so caught up in the visuals that I didn't care. Like, I think this is more about the message than an actual story. It's more about the message. It's like, what is James Cameron trying to say?
Yeah.
And he is a big environmentalist. And it's very obvious that this movie is about protecting our oceans.
Yeah.
I think that's quite obvious. It's right there on the screen.
Yeah.
And so I think a movie like this, it's not about the story, right? The story is very basic. It's something that I think we can all understand, but I think that's the point. It's so that we can just focus on the message and what's trying to be said in the movie rather than get caught up in some storyline that doesn't really mean that much anyway.
Yeah. Look, going into it, I had heard those concerns as well. You know, that was it just going to be another copy-paste of the original film where we're just going to see a very similar story unfold? And I have to say, the first few minutes into the movie, like not even first few, like maybe the first quarter of the film, I was starting to get a bit worried, like, oh, it's feeling very similar to how the first one started. Please don't let it be going this way. Thankfully, though, they do take it to some new areas. Yes, some things that happened in the original kind of happen again, but in a new way, I guess. But I have to say, yeah, I'm glad they went the way they did. We did get some new storyline, but not like a difficult storyline to follow at all. I thought, as you said, it was quite simple, but I think the message is strong. And, you know, I think that's something that James has done really well in this movie and in the original Avatar. Was, you know, in the original Avatar, it was protect our forests.
Yep.
Look how we treat people. Oh my God. Like, he is not afraid to, like, put your face up to the screen and be like, this is who we are.
Yeah, right. And I think that's exactly what these movies are about.
Yeah, it's like, this is how we treat Indigenous people. This is how we treat the landscape. Similar story again in this film.
Yeah.
This is how we are treating people again, but also treating our oceans and the animals that live within it. And oh my God, you know, you're watching these fantasy creatures, but they have obviously taken a lot of they've taken a real realistic approach to how they've done the creature design. You know, there's creatures, they look like whales, and there's so many characteristics of these creatures that are so like our real world creatures, and I think it just hits harder because it's like, we have animals like that in our world and we treat them like this. That's
what I mean. I think you did take a lot of similarities from real life so that, again, the message just doesn't go over our heads. It's very relatable.
Yeah.
You know? And I think it also has something to say about how I think we've lost our connection to nature a little bit. You know, you go back to a lot of the, you know, the native tribes of different lands, whether it's the, you know, Aboriginal people of Australia or the Indigenous Indians of America. They all had a connection to nature. You know, they hunted for their food and they killed for their food, but they had respect for the animals. They had respect for nature, and they didn't, you know, hunt the populations into extinction or anything like that. Whereas I think now that everything's become a little bit more industrialized, we've kind of lost that connection, and now everything just gets fed through a production chain.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it has a lot to say about that. You know, it's what's our connection to nature like? Have we completely lost that? Can we ever get it back?
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
I think it's asking a lot of questions like that.
Yeah. There was a moment in the film where they kind of touched on another issue where this really hit hard for me. They're collecting something that is from this world, and it retails for $80 million on Earth. And the character essentially says, yeah, this is what is essentially funding everything. Retail, what was it? It was like, retail is funding this mission. And it's just like, oh my God. It is so true. Like, you just think of all these kinds tons of issues. Like, we vote with our dollars. Like, I just love how James Cameron is not afraid to, you know, shine a light on us and how we need to do better as a society, not just, you know, for ourselves, but for the land and the wonderful creatures in it, you know? Like, there was not so subtle moments in this film again where it's just like, yeah, people are shit. We do that.
And don't feel like this movie is bashing you across the head with its message. It's not too heavy-handed with it. Yes, the message is very clear to see, but it's doing it in a way that is very natural to the world and to the story. So it's not like it's bashing you over the head with it. It's not doing it for the sake of just doing it and having an agenda. It's just part of the world and the message and the story that James Cameron is trying to tell. So
yeah. I think if, you know, you're super passionate about, you know, those sort of topics, then you'll get a lot from this movie. But yeah, I don't think it's kind of like a message that it's beating you over the head.
It's not force feeding.
That it's distracting you from what else is going on. Not at all. It's all incorporated really nicely. I thought it was a beautiful story. You know, I wasn't expecting to go in and I'd be laughing and crying. Like, I wasn't...
all the emotions.
I wasn't expecting to feel so many emotions, but I did cry in a few moments. And I did get a little bit choked up just at some of the visuals and the scenery that was so... While they're, you know, fantasy, they still just look so familiar because, you know, I guess he's obviously painting a picture that is similar to our world, just with some whimsical creatures.
Yeah. Although you did say a couple of these scenes look like the cinematic cutscenes from a game.
Yes, I did actually. I did actually think there were a couple of moments throughout the film where I felt like I was, you know, watching like an open world game, like a PlayStation game. And yeah, some of the scenes just kind of look like those storyline moments between gameplay where they're just like, you're just watching the characters play out the storyline in the game. But oh my God, it did also make me think how much I want an open world Avatar game. Could you imagine, like, if you've seen this movie, like, could you imagine like going swimming and like being amongst all the creatures in that world, and then you can like be friends with other creatures and you can like fight bad guys. Like, how cool would that game be? Cool. There's got to be a game like that already in development. Like, surely there is so much that they could do with a game here. And I mean, look, they've already nailed the effects. That just, you know, copy and paste what's in the movie.
I think it's as easy as that.
Sure,
just copy and paste.
Just copy and paste the visuals over to a game. How spectacular would that game look?
Command C, Command V.
Done. Give me the controller. Now I'm playing as Jake Sully. Going swimming. Riding on some whale creature. Yep. Anyway.
Sounds good.
Right? Be totally cool. Calling it now. It's already in development.
Yeah, 100%.
Give me a cut. Anyway.
Let's wrap this up. We're getting delirious. It is very, very late or early, depending on how you want to look at it, right here in Australia. So look, if you haven't seen Avatar: The Way of Water, then please do yourself a favour, go and check it out. But if you have seen it, then make sure that you let us know your thoughts in the comments below and do all that YouTube stuff. Slam that like button if you like what we do. Hit the bell for the notifications and be notified of what we got coming up next. Subscribe to our channel to become part of the Headspace Films community. Most importantly of all, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.
See ya.